Have you ever felt like a prisoner inside your own head? Not because someone tied your hands, but because your own mind is the prison. If you have, maybe you'll understand this feeling. Well, you can call me anything. Because this isn't about who I am, but about what I've been through. Today, I want to share my story, honestly, slowly, without dramatization, about what it's like to live with OCD. About the voices in my head, the hands that won't stop washing, the prayers that must be repeated, the thoughts that never rest. And about how, even when everything feels like chaos, I still choose to live. When everything looked normal. To the outside world, I seemed like a normal kid. Disciplined, neat, meticulous, qualities often seen as strengths. My books were organized, my notes were tidy, assignments always on time. I was seen as a role model. But behind all that, there was a hidden world. A world where I had to rewrite a paragraph 12 times because it just didn't feel right. A world where I had to turn off the light on an even number or I couldn't sleep. A world where washing my hands wasn't about hygiene. It was a long ritual to calm an unexplainable fear. I clearly remember the day I was late for school because I stood in front of the bathroom sink for 15 minutes, checking whether the tap was off. I knew it was off, but my mind kept screaming, check again. Or something bad might happen. Every day was like that, a small internal drama that no one else could see. And perhaps one of the biggest skills of someone with OCD is this: pretending everything is fine. OCD isn't just about cleanliness. One of the biggest misconceptions I've faced is the idea that OCD is only about being clean. People would say, "Oh, you have OCD?" Me too. I can't stand a messy desk. I'd smile, but inside I wanted to scream. Because OCD isn't about neatness. It's not about liking things tidy. OCD is about obsession and compulsion that are intrusive, exhausting, and often painful. Obsessions are unwanted thoughts that come out of nowhere. They repeat, they're intrusive, and they bring intense anxiety. These thoughts vary: fear of illness, fear of sin, fear of harming others. And to calm them, compulsions arise, rituals that feel like must-dos to ease the fear. Washing hands repeatedly, checking doors again and again, repeating prayers, and so on. Ironically, the more you do the compulsions, the stronger OCD's grip becomes. I've seen commercials that joke about OCD, as if it's just about being annoyed by dirt, but reality is far more brutal. Imagine washing your hands until your skin cracks. Imagine turning back home from work just to make sure the stove is off. Not because you want to, but because you physically can't move on without doing it. The many faces of my OCD. OCD has many faces. And sadly, I've met nearly all of them. First came contamination fears. I began to feel disgusted by touching doorknobs, money, even my own TV remote. I could spend 30 minutes washing my hands. Not because they were dirty, but because they didn't feel clean enough. Then came the checking phase. Every night before sleeping, I had to check the door, stove, windows. Once? Not enough. Twice? Still uneasy. Sometimes up to 7 times or more. I'd be in bed, then get up again because my mind whispered, "You didn't check it right." Do it again. The most terrifying was intrusive thoughts. Suddenly I'd see flashes of hurting someone I loved. I panicked. I'm not a bad person. But why are these thoughts here? I began fearing myself. I stopped trusting my own intentions. And then, OCD invaded my spirituality. I used to find peace in prayer. But suddenly it became tormenting. Ablution had to be perfect. Intentions had to be flawlessly pronounced. Prayers had to be repeated if I thought I missed a word. It wasn't about losing faith. I was overwhelmed by fear, manipulated by OCD. It didn't stop there. I began counting steps. Walking to the kitchen had to be an even number. If not, I had to start over. Sitting on a chair had to follow a certain order. Turning off the alarm had to be on a safe number. Odd numbers felt dangerous. Even numbers brought false peace. This wasn't logic. It was fear. And my body unconsciously followed the rules my brain invented. A life without peace. Each morning, I didn't wake up with energy. I woke up with dread. Even before opening my eyes, the thoughts started. Did you lock the door last night? Did you say your bedtime prayer? Did you touch something dirty? My brain was a machine that never turned off. My body, constantly drained. I often felt exhausted, not from physical activity, but from a mind that wouldn't stop running. Every small action felt like a huge decision with life or death consequences. Even picking an outfit took 20 minutes. It had to be right. It had to feel safe. It had to not cause disaster. Sleep wasn't peaceful either. I'd wake up with a racing heart. Sometimes from nightmares, sometimes from thoughts whispering, "You missed a prayer." Even though I knew I'd done it. OCD didn't let me trust my own memory. I became my own worst enemy. Don't even ask about eating. I've avoided meals because I feared they were contaminated. Not because I wasn't hungry, but because anxiety was stronger than hunger. Imagine living like that, where even the most basic tasks require mental warfare. How people around me reacted. Many people didn't understand. Some said I was overreacting. Others said I was just too much. Some told me to be more grateful, as if OCD would vanish if I just smiled more. I knew they weren't trying to be mean. They just didn't get it. But their words still hurt, especially when they came from people closest to me. Some tried to help, but in the wrong ways. Just stop thinking about it. Move on. As if there's a switch I could flip to shut it all off. This isn't about choices. It's not about being lazy to stay positive. It's about my brain working differently. But there were a few people who chose to just listen. They didn't judge. They didn't throw cliches. They just sat there, listened, and said, "I don't fully understand, but I'm here." And that was enough. The turning point and admitting I needed help. My turning point didn't come in a dramatic breakdown. It came quietly. I was sitting on the bathroom floor after yet another panic attack, scared I hadn't rinsed the soap properly. I remember staring at my red, sore hands, washed far too many times. In that moment, I felt small, exhausted, and utterly alone. A small voice in me whispered, "This isn't living." And for the first time, I agreed. I needed help. Not just prayers. Not just positive thinking. But real, professional help. It wasn't easy, especially with the stigma around mental health. But I knew, if I didn't act, OCD would destroy me. Therapy and learning to accept myself. I started therapy filled with fear, shame, and hope. My psychologist welcomed me calmly. They didn't look at me weird when I shared my obsessions. They didn't judge when I said I sometimes hated myself because of the thoughts in my head. They just listened and then said, "That's not you. That's OCD." I learned about cognitive behavioral therapy, especially something called exposure and response prevention, ERP. It meant I had to face my fears without performing compulsions to neutralize them. At first, it was terrifying. I wanted to run away. But slowly, I began to understand. OCD could only be weakened if I stopped obeying it. There were days I cried because I failed. But there were also days I smiled because I touched a doorknob and didn't wash my hands afterward. As small as it seems, that was victory. Therapy didn't erase OCD, but it taught me how to live with it without bowing to it. Living with OCD and finding peace. Today, OCD is still here, but I'm no longer controlled by it. I recognize the signs. I recognize the tricks my mind plays. And most importantly, I know I have a choice. I can choose not to give in. I'm learning to love myself with all my complexities. I write journals, meditate, move my body, and allow myself to feel tired without guilt. I've also started talking about OCD without shame. Because the more I open up, the more I realize I'm not alone. My days may not be perfect now, but I no longer feel broken. I've found small peace in simple things: a warm cup of tea, the evening breeze, a loved one's laughter. They remind me I'm still here, and I'm still trying. My honest message to you who are struggling: if you're watching this and experiencing something similar, with OCD, with anxiety, or something else, please hear me. You are not strange. You are not weak. You are not a sin. You are not a burden. You are human. And humans are allowed to not be okay. Don't let the voice in your head drown you. Don't let the world's stigma silence you. Seek help. Speak up. You don't have to walk this path alone. I know it's not easy, but please believe me, you are stronger than you think. And today, with all the chaos inside you, you are still worthy. Living with OCD is a long, non-linear journey. Some days you move forward. Some days you fall back. And that's okay. Because life isn't about always winning, it's about always trying. About standing back up, even when you've fallen countless times. I'm still on this path. Still learning. Still healing. But I'm no longer alone. And neither are you. So, if today all you can do is get out of bed and breathe, that's already incredible. Don't underestimate your strength. You deserve peace. You deserve healing in your own way, in your own time. And remember, we may be wounded, but we are not broken. We are simply human. Thank you for listening to my story.